Good day, everyone. This is Professor Maria Luisa Bainyo Salingay, inviting you to join me in my short discussion on molar mass and mole. Molar mass of any substance is equal to the sum of all atomic masses of its components, taking into account the number of atoms in a compound. You need periodic table for molecular masses of each element. For number 1, the molar mass of carbon dioxide is 1 carbon atom is equal to 1 times 12 gram per mole is equal to 12. 2 oxygen atoms is equal to 2 times 16 gram per mole is equal to 32. So you add 12 and 32, so the molar mass of carbon dioxide is 48 grams per mole. For number 2, molar mass of oxygen gas. There are 2 oxygen atoms, so 2 times 16 gram per mole, so it is equal to 32 grams per mole. Number 3, the molar mass of ferric oxide. There are 2 iron atoms, so this is 2 times 55.85 grams per mole is equal to 111.7. 3 oxygen atoms, so this is equal to 3 times 16 grams per mole is equal to 48. So the molar mass of ferric oxide is equal to 111.7 plus 48 is equal to 159.7 grams per mole. Number 4, the molar mass of glucose. In glucose, there are 6 carbon atoms, so 6 times 12 gram per mole is equal to 72. 12 hydrogen atoms, 12 times 1 gram per mole is equal to 12. And 6 oxygen atoms, 6 times 16 gram per mole is equal to 96 gram per mole. So, the molar mass of glucose is equal to 72 plus 12 plus 96 is 180 gram per mole. Number 5, molar mass of calcium nitrate. It contains 1 calcium atom, so 1 times 40.1 gram per mole is equal to 40.1. 2 nitrogen atoms, so this is equal to 2 times 14 gram per mole is equal to 28. And 6 oxygen atoms, 6 times 16 gram per mole is equal to 96. So the molar mass of calcium nitrate is equal to 40.1 plus 28 plus 96 is 164.1 gram per mole. Molar mass of copper sulfate pentahydrate. It contains 1 copper atom, so it is equal to 1 times 63.55 grams per mole, so 63.55. 1 sulfur atom, so this is 1 times 32.1 gram per mole is 32.1. And 4 oxygen atoms, so 4 times 16 grams per mole is equal to 64. With 5 molecules of water, a molecule of water is equal to 2 hydrogen atoms times 1 gram per mole plus 1 oxygen atom is equal to 16 gram per mole. So a molecule of water is 18 grams per mole times 5, so is equal to 90 grams per mole. So the molar mass of copper sulfate pentahydrate is equal to 63.55 plus 32.1 plus 64 plus 90. It is equal to 249.65 grams per mole. 7. Molar mass of potassium permanganate. It contains 1 potassium atom, so 1 times 39.1 gram per mole. 1 manganese atom, 1 times 54.9 gram per mole. And 4 oxygen atoms, 4 times 16 gram per mole. So the molar mass of potassium permanganate is equal to 39.1 plus 54.9 plus 64 is equal to 158 gram per mole. Mole is the base unit of the amount of substance in the International System of Units, or SI. It is calculated with the formula mass over molecular mass, with the SI base units of gram over gram per mole. It contains 6.022141129 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms, molecules, or ions. The value 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 is what we call the Avogadro's number. For example, 1 mole of copper contains 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 copper atoms. 1 mole of water contains 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 water molecules, and 1 mole of oxygen gas contains 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 oxygen molecules. Let us have some exercises. Exercise 1. What is the number of molecules of oxygen gas that weighs 100 grams? First, find the number of moles of oxygen using the formula mass over molecular mass. Moles of oxygen is equal to 100 gram oxygen times 1 mole of oxygen over 32 grams of oxygen. You cancel grams of oxygen, what is left is moles, so you have 3.125 moles of oxygen. Then, the next, you find the number of molecules using the number of moles of oxygen. So 3.125 moles of oxygen times the Avogadro's number per mole of oxygen. You cancel mole, you are left with molecules. So your answer is 1.882 times 10 to the power of 24 molecules. You can also combine steps 1 and 2 and do some cancellation. 100 gram of oxygen times 1 mole of oxygen per 32 grams of oxygen times the Avogadro's number per mole of oxygen. You cancel grams and cancel mole. You got 1.882 times 10 to the power 24 molecules in 100 grams of oxygen. Exercise 2. What is the number of atoms of copper that weighs 32.80 grams? Again, first find the number of mole first. Moles copper is equal to 32.80 grams copper times 1 mole copper over 63.55 grams copper. Cancel grams, you're left with moles, so it is equal to 0.52 moles of copper. Find the number of atoms using the number of moles. So 0.52 mole copper times the Avogadro's number per mole copper. You cancel mole, you're left with atoms. So you have 3.13 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms. You can combine steps 1 and 2 and do some cancellation. 32.80 gram copper times 1 mole copper over 63.55 gram copper times the Avogadro's number over a mole of copper. You cancel gram and you cancel mole. You're left with atoms. So the final answer is 3.13 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms in 32.80 gram copper. That is all for today. If you have comments, feel free to contact me on the following medium of communications.